Welcome back to the Mental Fight Podcast. And on this episode, I got a chance to talk with Amun. He talked about how in his beginnings, he simply just wanted to learn how to defend himself and how that evolved to him becoming a professional martial artist. We talked a lot about the mental preparation that goes into a fight camp and how it's a good day to be alive, but it's an even better day to be great. Tune into this episode.
Storm's coming.
Storm's coming.
There's a fucking storm coming, Dad!
Storm's coming.
So I met Amun at our last fight, and I knew that I had to tap in with him before his upcoming fight. So I'm so excited to have you here, man. I'm ready for what's coming up. The fight is moving. Ever since we connected, I was like, man, you had so much great things to say, so much wisdom. So I was like, I really want to talk to you more and get to know you. Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. How about yourself?
Oh, man, I'm really great. So, this first round is just all about, kind of setting them up, filling them out a little bit. So I know that you fight 135 and everything, and I see that you do a lot of other things within the sport. Tell me a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, the journey of a martial artist, I always make the distinction that I am not a fighter. I'm a martial artist that fights. I'm not just a fighter. Fighters just train when it's time to fight. I'm a martial artist, and it's a path that I've chosen about 11, 12 years ago. And I just kind of always wanted to know how to defend myself. Like I said, I'm a bantamweight, so I'm not a big dude, but I'm one of 8 brothers and sisters, and I'm the youngest boy. So getting into fights growing up was just like a part of an everyday thing, regardless if it was with your siblings or your friends or you're not your friends, school, on the park, wherever. So fighting has always been something that I was always drawn to, and I had temper problems as a kid, just like every other fucking 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old little boy. So I always wanted to know how to defend myself. And growing up, me and my dad would fight each other, and he would show me how to do little things. And my dad was a little bit of a martial artist, and I just fell into it after high school and in college. I always wanted to do something, and in professional sports, it's one of those things. If you don't make it in college, there's nothing that there's no sports for you, and sports was a huge part of my development as a young boy growing up. And the only thing that really gave me that feeling, I used to I made my own football pickup league, and we used to play football. But when I started going to the gym to train jiu-jitsu and or boxing or things like that, is where I really started to kind of get that feeling that I got from sports of hey, if you can give your everything, then you can make something out of this. And when I first started, it wasn't intentions on being a professional MMA fighter. It was just learning how to defend myself, doing something physical, and just having the skill set to defend myself, really. And that kind of just took a turn. It just took a turn, and here you go. Next thing you know, I'm a professional mixed martial artist, fighting in a bantamweight championship fight for the UFL very shortly.
Hey, that's so dope, man. It's so many humble beginning stories. I just wanted to maybe getting into the sport for different reasons, and next thing you know, it just took you in a whole nother direction that you maybe couldn't imagine.
You want to talk about humble beginnings? Talk about a college athlete getting triangled by a girl my first time ever on the mat. So I didn't have any jiu-jitsu experience, and I actually got tricked in. I've told this story a cajillion times. I'm gonna tell it again. I got tricked into coming to a jiu-jitsu class because I was supposed to be coming to a kickboxing class. I started doing a tiny bit of boxing. But the gym was 2 hours away. So I'm like, man, you got to drive 2 hours, train 2 or 3 hours, drive 2 hours back. And I had a full-time job. And the guy I was working with, he was like, man, you should come to my gym, Oliver Witchell. He's like, yeah, man, we have jiu-jitsu. I was like, I want to try boxing. He's like, well, we got kickboxing. I was like, all right, cool, son. When is it? And he told me the time jiu-jitsu started. So I got to the gym, wrapping my hands and shit. And then he was there. He's like, well, while you wait, come on the mat. And I got beat up by 50-year-olds who've been doing jiu-jitsu for 4 years. A girl triangled me, and I was just like, I gotta do something else. Like,
Yeah, I feel I have those same sentiments. I was like, I definitely wanted to do the boxing, and I was like, I don't know about all the ground stuff. And it's like, to feel like I feel like I was strong. I feel like, I've been an athlete all my life, and then to get into a situation where I'm like, yo, I really suck at this. And it didn't matter the body type, that. But that piece right there definitely like left me hungry for more of like, okay, I want to figure out how to like be better at this because I don't know,
yeah.
I don't like
I
it.
was talking with my best friend, and I was like, I don't know if I like winning or being good at things as much as I hate losing and not being good at things. So I'm like, when I'm not good at something, I know that the requirement to get better at it is to put more time, just keep doing the thing. So when I'm not good at something, I'm just like, I just gotta keep going back, gotta keep going back until I get better. And I'm just like, I don't know if I like winning more than I hate losing.
Oh, they work together though.
Yeah,
Gonna climb that ladder, both of those.
yeah.
But yo, 8 siblings, that's a lot, and you were the youngest. Oh, imagine what
Youngest boy is one more under me. I got a little sister.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay. I
yeah,
can see that dynamic. Just okay. So you definitely had a different mindset when coming into the sport for sure.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. So when you got in, so you ended up doing kickboxing and then grappling, and then that made you want it more after
Yeah.
that. So, what was the turn for you that kind of led you to say, I really want to like really, really do this?
Um, it was like, so I trained for like 4 years before I ever had my first fight. I was doing jujitsu competitions, and then we just had like hard exhibition sparring matches in gyms like smokers and stuff like that, but nothing official. And after about 2 years after I got my blue belt in jujitsu and I started striking more and then like started learning like traditional like Muay Thai and stuff like that, I just had this like itch. And at first I was afraid to say it because I was afraid what people would say or would think.
Mm.
We kind of have that thing. It's like, man, I would love to fight professionally. And little did I know that like the barrier to entry for professional MMA is so fucking low. I could have been a professional after 3 years, but I'm glad that I didn't. And my coach, I've been blessed with the coaches that I had. I just had this like desire to want to actually fight, and I would say it was my first training camp for my first fight ever where I had that like click where I was just like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna give it everything. And I had a number of fights that I said I wanted to take. I said, man, I'm like, when I get this amount of fights, then I think I'll be okay. And then like that was a dumb goal in my head to set because I already surpassed that amount of fights. I said it was 10. I was like, when I get 10 fights total, I think I'm gonna like, just I'll be okay. And then I just remember the feeling of doing something you told yourself you were going to do and coming out a better version of yourself on the other end. And I just love that feeling. And I told people in my gym, I was like, a training camp is like experiencing a full life in 9 or 10 weeks. Like you go through confidence, like anxiety, like pressure, doubt, fear, all these things. And you're like going through all these things, these ups and these downs, but you got to show up every single day. You got to show up every single day. And only know if you're giving 100% effort. And
Yeah.
then on the back end of that is you're preparing for this moment that you made so big. And
Yeah.
now it's up to you uh, to put on display everything that you've been doing in the dark for 9, 10 weeks. So then now you have another level of, hey, now I've been doing this and I have to show that I can apply this stuff under the pressure. And I think that's like what life is. Like we go through life experiencing ups and downs and confidence and doubts and fear and anxiety and depression and all these things. And then there are moments in life where you're going to have to fight for something or you're going to be put under an immense amount of pressure. And that's the time when it counts to show up. And I kind of found that in that first training camp because I had 2 fights that didn't go through. So I was in training camp for like 9 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like training camp like 2 weeks before the fight. It didn't go through. And then we got another training camp. I was supposed to fight in 2014, but I'm in 2015, but it didn't happen. And then next thing you know, it was like, all right, we're finally doing it. And it was like May 2016, Jacksonville, Florida at the Maverick. Still remember combat night.
Oh snap! Yeah. Oh man, I resonate so much with that because so much I say that like, man, fighting has so many parallels to life, and that fight camp definitely will teach you a lot about yourself, and you're gonna go through a lot of different emotions and different types of adversity. So you know what, this next round, this is exactly what this is. This is where we done filling it out. This time to actually get at it. This is where you're gonna have to, get to the hard stuff and make it happen. So we're gonna talk a little bit more.
Have you seen my fights? My fill out process is about 30 30,
What is,
30
yeah.
seconds, 60 seconds at max, but I like to get in and get to it.
Yeah. Everybody has their ways of getting
Yeah.
into it. The filling out process can take a round, or it can
Yeah.
take all of no time, and some people just go right after it. You
Yeah.
know, but at some point in time, it's time to bite down, and it's like time to let it have it. So this next round, we're gonna get into that. Round two, we just happen to go with it, and it's time to like really bite down. And here's where the fight is. Talk to me some more about like what happens in that fight camp, and like how have you? I guess what are some things that you gain from the going through fight camps, not just like physically, but just mentally, emotionally, just as a whole person, like going through these fight camps, and then as it relates to life too.
The biggest thing that I think you gain in a fight camp is perspective. Because most fighters, like who take it seriously, we're all in or all out. There is like no in between. And the conversations that we have with ourselves are not the best most of the time. Like we're calling ourselves like, hey, you ain't shit, you ain't this, you could have went one more, you could have did this. Even when you are going above and beyond, you feel like it's almost never enough. But that's why professional athletes are professional athletes. So for me, a fight camp, like what I learned the most, I really learned a lot about what makes me tick, like what makes me upset, what makes me feel up, what makes me feel down. And then I kind of dissect myself throughout fight camp because I don't have a lot of I don't do a lot of external things. It's like the same day over and over and over for 8 or 9 weeks, like just to prepare for 15, well now 25 minutes for this championship fight coming up right around the corner. It's like, think about that. Like you train, but prior to the championship fight, you train 2 months, 3 months for a possible 15 minutes. So it's like, yo, think about that. Two and a half months for 15 minutes of training. So like it's really like just a dissection of myself, is learning about myself and what makes me tick and what's going to be my formula for success this time. Because a lot of times I have been a formula for defeat, like for myself. It's like the things that worked for me when I first started fighting don't work for me now. The things I knew when I first started fighting, I know different things now. So it's about like managing hard work and smart work, and doing that for 8-9 weeks to get a specific result. So for me, it's all about discipline, and the process of refinement. You're refining who you are to the core. I literally call it trimming the fat. Like obviously we're losing weight during training camp, but we're trimming the fat. The only stuff I'm doing on social media is either my words of wisdom or fight content to help promo the fight. I'm not consuming a lot of bad foods. I'm not hanging out. I'm not going out on the weekends. I'm not spending time with, my family. There's a lot of things that I like take away to kind of isolate myself to get more in touch, to be fight ready. I tell people getting physically ready for a fight is really easy for me, because I stay in shape. I live in the gym. I'm in the gym 5-6 days a week. So for me, it's getting mentally prepared to do another person harm that wants to do me harm. So it really takes some, I don't even say, yeah, I guess you can call it like soul searching, and really like getting in touch with yourself and finding out who you really are. Because like I'll tell you, when that switch goes on in the cage, then that person across from me is just another. They're kind of like an empty vessel, and I got to look at it like that. That way, I can be willing to do harm to them the way that they want to do harm to me. So that really takes you putting yourself in a very different mindset. So for training camp, that's what that's about: perspective, discipline, trimming the fat, all for what? An opportunity to show the world what you've been doing in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. And what you've been doing in the dark will show. And I think you spoke a lot to just the physical piece. A lot of times it's like you show up and you do what you need to do physically, you'll be good. But it's always the driver behind the vehicle that matters, because you can have all the physicality and have a great camp, but if the driver, gets deer in the headlights the day of competition, all that goes out the window. So
Yep.
it's that preparation for like all of that pressure that definitely builds up, because you're right. It's like you're spending so much time for this opportunity, for this one moment that's so small that there's infinite amount of possibilities that can happen. Like I know everybody's sitting there thinking about how every way that the fight could go, and it's like very difficult, but it's that mental process. And I think that through this sport and like fight camps in general, like you have to have or come to face with yourself and the flaws and anything that could get in your way on fight day, and you have to
Yeah.
address those things. um and the more, and like you said before, because I thought that was a really good point too, it's just like who you were in the beginning versus who you are like later in your career. You evolve, and like how you approach things may change as well. And I think that's a refining piece too, is finding the best and most effective way to like prepare yourself mentally going into the cage. And you want to be able to be that much better. You want to be able to be more, manage your nerves and your anxiety better. Want to be able to still have that calculated but yet malicious intent to go in there. And so that's something that is a process that you learn and get better at over the time. At least I've experienced as I've been in
Yes.
year 8.
I literally call it it's like the process of becoming a diamond. Like you
Yeah.
find a diamond, but it's in dirt or in mud or in coal, and it's all just, it looks like a rock and it needs a lot of work. It doesn't mean it's not valuable, but what you're doing in that training camp is like you're trying to get the cleanest, most polished, hardened version of yourself, and then when the light hits it, it's like ding. It's
Now.
like, yeah, that's it. And it's just like the process of the diamond. It's got to get cut. It's got to get this. And the process of a diamond is it's got to get cut by other diamonds too. It's got to get polished. It got to get cleaned. It got to,
Yeah.
all these different things. And then, you put that thing, that baby in the cage, right? Put it in the cage and shine some lights on it, and bing, you got
Yeah.
yourself a show.
Yeah, yeah. And I step out of that perspective, because we're just speaking in like the sake of just this one fight camp for this one fight. But when you like step out and look at it even further, you're going to get the opportunity to be in a cage, and you're still going to find some areas where, all right, I had a little blemish over there. I'm gonna have to go back in the gym. We're gonna have to do some more buffering on that side.
Yeah.
And the long term process is that, even when you get to the competition, like you're going to still find aspects of places where you have work to be done. And I feel like for me, that has been what keeps me coming back and keeps have me looking up like, man, these years flying by, and yet I'm not tired of it yet, because every fight there's still something else, and I'm like, all right, I want to be better at this. I need to work on this, like you said earlier about just that piece of like not feeling like we're all trying to let's elevate ourselves constantly. So
Yeah.
the love of the sport in that aspect.
Yeah. It's never ending. It's never ending.
Yeah. Or you have to, I guess, love it. And as to relate that just to life is like, they say life is a process, gotta love the journey and stuff like that. But, life is ups and downs, valleys and peaks and all that kind of stuff. And we have to be here for both of those ebbs, all of those like ups and downs, because that's where
Yeah.
we, gain and grow and evolve. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can ramble on about that and get all
Yeah.
philosophical, but so the last round, you leave it all out there. We're gonna get into that because you have a wonderful quote that I can forever just hear your voice saying in my head every time I hear it, because I've watched all your stories. So I can't wait to hear more about it and where it originates with you.
that is part of my whole martial arts journey. How it started. That quote: "It's a good day to be alive, but an even better day to be great." That started at a really, really, really down time. I had back surgery because I got into a car accident, and I just remember not being able to walk straight, and like having to go through the rehab process was extremely painful. And I have a very special relationship with pain. Uh, and at a time in my life where a lot of people would have chose to, I feel the majority of people would have chosen to cover up pain. I chose to embrace the pain, and I am where I am now because of it. And I mean like literal, like cover up the pain. So like I got into a car accident, but I didn't have the surgery till 3.5, almost 4 years till after the accident, because like my medical insurance was giving me this big runaround, and they was trying to give me all these pain medications to help fix the pain. And I literally was like, I'm not going to take it because I can't take it because of my job. And I was like, I have a physical labor job. I can't take hydrocodone, oxycodone, tramadol. Like I can't take these things and then go work. And if I do take it, it's going to make the pain go away, but it's not going to fix what's really hurting. So I was in extreme pain in like what would be considered like the not the prime as a man, but like prime as your athletic peak, like 19, 20, 21, 22,
Yeah.
3, 24. Like that's like where you're like really starting to develop as an athlete, as a whatever. So I was in a lot of pain. I could barely even walk straight. And I just remember having this big ass bag of like medication because like every doctor I went to did the same thing. I'll take the medication, take the medication. And I'm like, this is like a ongoing circle. I take the medication. I'm gonna feel less pain, but it's not fixing the problem. But then we're not gonna fix what's wrong. So I was in pain for a really long time. Finally got finally got an MRI, got the back surgery, and I just remember being like not being able to sleep. So I was just like laying in the bed because I was on bed rest. I'm so used to being a busybody. I'm just like laying there, and I'm just like, what are you amounted to if you can't do anything physical? And I was like, that's when I made the decision. I need to build my mental capacity and work on my resilience, like my spirit and my mind. I always knew I can get my body in shape. As much as people think that's a hard thing, I'm like, that's really the easy thing. The hard thing is the mental aspect of it. Of everybody wants to get in shape, no one wants to stay in shape.
Yeah.
We don't play. That's not a finite game. You're trying to put an end to this. Like when I get a six pack, I'll stop running, or when I lose 10 pounds, I'll stop working out. I was like, no, the goal is to stay in shape, not get in shape. So I knew I could like get my body back whenever, even though doctors were telling me, oh, you might not be like this, because you don't have no disc in your lower spine, or it's little to none, da da da. And I was just like, I'm not hearing what y'all saying. And I just remember being on the bed, and I couldn't think of anything to be grateful for. And like that was a kind of a low point because I was just like, I'm gonna show them. I was just like, as an athlete, I'm gonna show them motherfuckers. Like they said, they not gonna walk. I'm gonna walk straight. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna be athletic. I'm gonna build my body back up. And I remember like I couldn't think of anything to be grateful for, and I just said like, it's a good day to be alive. Like it's a good day to be alive. Like if that's all you got to be grateful for, that at least that's it. And then I just followed it up with like, man, it's not just a good day to be alive. Like anybody can just be good. That takes a tiny bit of effort, but you want to be great. And I always love the underdog story. So I was always the underdog in my own story. I'm like, they say you couldn't do this, watch this. Mm-hmm. So like my first amateur title fight, which was like 2 years after that car accident, or 2 years or a year and a half or something like that. Not the car accident, after the surgery. I just remember like screaming so loud in the cage, like every amateur fighter does. But for me, it meant something deeper than just winning a title. It was like, man, they said that you weren't be able to do these things, and look at how far you've come, and like imagine how far you can go, because you were never striving to be good. You were striving to be great. And if you strive for greatness, even if you come up short, trust me, you'll land at the top. And like that's kind of the long version or the shortened version of like where that saying comes from and what it means to me. And so I say it every single day, regardless if I'm having a good day or a bad day.
Yeah.
And it's not just a fighter saying. That's why I have that little extra piece I say on my story. I'm like, hey, it's a good day to be alive, but an even better day to be great. So get up and get to the grind, whatever that may be for you, because my grind isn't your grind. I'm a fighter. I get up, I work out, I train every morning. And I'm like, maybe you have a family and your grind is taking care of your family and providing for your kids and doing this, that, and the third. Or maybe your grind is an artist and you get up and you got to write because you want to publish a book. Or maybe your grind is a teacher and you get up and you got to give everything in your heart and soul to 30 students, even when you don't feel like it, like whatever your grind is. So like, that's why, like, I'll tell you, it's not a fight saying, it's not like something I say for fighting. It's literally my mantra, like what I live by every single day, no matter how I'm feeling, because feelings don't have nothing to do with it.
Yeah. And feelings are temporary. They come and go.
Yep.
You know? and with that, we always have the choice to choose like our mindset and choose how we perceive like different things that are like occurring in our lives. So like if, like you said, the most basic thing is just finding some gratitude for just, you know what, at least I'm alive today. Okay. Take it a step further than how can I make, you know, the day just this much better, you know, and just kind of having that mindset to push beyond certain limits, you know. I really believe that like just being intentional and just the power of like believing that you can like manage through something, get through something, or you're working towards something, that when you hold and keep a strong mindset behind it, you will achieve that. You'll get there. But, you know, kind of going back to what you're saying about like that piece of like just wanting to like, I want to get in shape and I want to get the six pack, but it's that maintaining piece. It's the habit, it's the lifestyle, it's the way that you just do everything. You know, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I really, yeah.
How you do anything's how you do everything. So I teach youth martial arts, and the kids have been doing really good lately. Every now and then it just be like, I don't know, a fucking full moon or something, and they'll be acting all kind of nuts. But like my 7 to 9 class, they're doing really good. And I have cones set out that kind of like, that's a big class. So they all do the warm-up drill going down the mat, and then they walk across the cones so nobody cuts the cones and like runs into anybody, because kids always running into each other. So I was like, all right. So I set the cones out, and they kept stopping like 3 feet prior to the line and then getting up and then walking around. And I just like stopped the class and I made them do the same drill like 4 times, and nobody knew what the fuck was going on. Like, did they mess up or whatever? I just do it again, do it again, do it again. And then they did it, and I was like, you know why I'm making y'all do it? And I was like, this is what quitting is. And everybody looked at me confusing. I was like, you chose to do 99% of the work, and right when it got hard, 1 foot away from achieving the goal is where you decided you're just going to get up and walk away. And
Okay, Professor.
yeah, well, I just a lot of like I teach kids about life. I tell people kids are tiny humans. Don't treat them like they're kids. When I say don't treat them like kids, I'm not saying like treat them like an adult, but I speak to kids like they're adults. All right, I'm just like, yo, this is what's going on. This is a life lesson, regardless of if you like think it is or not. The more I repeat it and the more you come to the class, the more you realize like this is a lesson. And I've had a lot of traction with the kids. I'm pretty strict when I'm not super strict, but I'm strict. I'm very orderly in my classes, and most of the kids seem to actually gear towards that than like anything. So like I'm a big like believer of like structure, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna provide some sort of structure for y'all. If y'all don't get with it, y'all can get off the mat. And like that's how I teach my classes.
No, I'm gonna tell you, like kids really thrive off of having structure and routine. It's essential.
Yeah.
I'll have to like screenshot you this picture, a picture of the page in this book that I literally read today that literally talks about kids and structure and like boundaries and stuff. Anyway, but yes, and I used to teach too. So like I know this is to be true. You have a classroom and there's no set rules, or they don't know, then you're gonna have chaos. And when you have predictability and you know how things are supposed to be done, it helps improve like learning, because you're not functioning in chaos and you're not like having to deal with that piece, you know. I
Yeah.
think that's applicable to just life too. You know, there's some level amount of structure that we or routine we should have in our lives to like be able to have that kind of balance so that we can not find ourselves in too much chaos. But
Yeah.
some people thrive on chaos. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like a little control chaos.
Yeah, I'm big on operating in chaos, because like life is gonna be chaotic. So if you don't learn how to operate in chaos, then you'll just be what do you call it? You'll be an innocent bystander to your own life. And that's a hard thing to be. Like you get to 65, 70, and you realize, like, you look back and you were like, fuck, I wasn't even the passenger in my own vehicle. Society was, this person was, that person was, because I wasn't able to operate in the chaos. I chose a nice, easy, comfortable life. And what do I have to show for it?
Yeah, definitely have to be able to like have some ability to be in both of those spaces, but then also the desire to put yourself in a situation that's going to feel a little uncomfortable. But you know, when you're
Like a
uncomfortable,
cage.
you're growing.
like a cage.
You know, not as you don't have, people don't have to be that extreme. Let's just say, I don't know, maybe some of us really like challenging things, but there's other ways to lean into discomfort.
That's what I like about martial arts. That's why I say I'm not a fighter. I'm a martial artist that fights, because I teach those same lessons that I learned and that I got bruised and cut and messed up with, and my mindset in there that may have got me in good or bad, out of bad spots, or were in good spots, in bad spots. And then I relay that to my students, because if 100 people walk into your gym, maybe 5 want to compete, and maybe out of those 5, 3 are consistent competitors, and maybe 1 is going to be a fighter. So that's kind of like, you know, not everybody is made for the cage, but I tell people everybody's made for martial arts. If you got a good gym or a good instructor or good structure at an academy, everybody can benefit from it.
Yeah. And you're one of that small population that decided that you're going to be in the cage. So I'm wishing you all the, you know, best of skill, and you take that blend of that structure and technique and also a little bit of chaos as you go in. Go ahead and get that belt, though.
Let's go. I can't wait.
So, hey, any shout outs that you would like to shout out just leading into this week? Anything?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my family and my friends and my sponsors, everybody that helps to support me on this journey, because, you know, we might feel alone at times, but we ain't get to where we at by ourselves. It's a team. There's people who support us and help us get to where we at. And I always want to thank my coaches, my friends, and my family, as well as my sponsors. Shout out to Harrison Rogers and the UFL for doing what they do, making life a little bit less chaotic for the fighters with the format that they are providing with the UFL, with the health insurance, the scheduled bouts actually happening. You know, the F3 sponsors and of that nature. So that's about it. Awesome.
So where can people follow you and support you and all of that good stuff?
My main platform is Instagram. So Amun_Cosme_MMA. If you click the link in my bio, it'll have everything that I'm up to. It has my merchandise page that I have with millions.co is a company that works with professional athletes to help push their brand out there. It takes a lot of pressure off of the fighters, so I don't have to worry about calling people, hey, where you want me to send your t-shirt and things like this. And I do my live streams as well as my merchandise with them. And that's pretty much it. All my as well as Lunar Unlimited, of course, that's my merchandise brand. So follow my page on Instagram. And that's it.
Okay, awesome. I had so much. I really enjoyed our conversation. And so you listening, if you enjoyed this conversation as well, go ahead and like it, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. And stay tuned.